Our vision. We want to create the United States of the world within about 200 years with peace, freedom and democratic self-determination for all people. We want to find majorities through voting and for minorities to be able to create niches where they do not disturb or harm anyone. We want to digitally network citizens in an intranet for democratic control so that humanity becomes a being capable of acting. Our core values. We believe that all people belong to the same species and are well adapted to different conditions in different ethnic groups, which must be preserved. We believe that every person is unique, has the opportunity to achieve great things in their life and can surpass themselves through political responsibility. We believe that democratic politics should bring joy because it can dispel suffering and resentment and resolve the contradiction between freedom and security. Our approaches. We believe that democracy can become dynamic if it is digitalized and citizens can switch between direct, indirect and representative forms. We believe that computers and the internet will enable humanity to learn to speak and to think and act together through multimedia democracy. We believe that entrepreneurial governance, which views citizens as consumers, producers and owners, can be more profitable, economical and innovative. We believe that an international union of states should gradually harmonize laws, authorities and constitutions, first on a continental basis and then globally. We believe that barter economy, planned economy, social market economy and free market economy complement each other in a circular economy and give citizens the choice between freedom and security. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our Constitution. Together with the citizens, we want to create a democratic constitution that is tailored to international unification so that fundamental rights are standardized worldwide. We want to establish a state order in which citizens select their governments according to their suitability and flexibly switch between departments and regions. We want to define ways in which ministries can implement the will of the people together or with the citizens in the best possible way. Our state organization. We want a division of executive, legislative, judicial and mediating powers, in which the citizens decide which politicians should be responsible for what. We want to take account of voter fatigue or decisiveness by allowing citizens to opt for direct, indirect or representative democracy. We want one party for each department with any number of party wings and the possibility for citizens to lend their vote to party members. We want one government per department and moderation of the ministries involved in overarching projects. We want to set up quorums in which enough citizens can come together to support reforms and put them to the vote. We want to link the duration of politicians' terms of office and the validity of laws to quorums so that good things last indefinitely and bad things pass away immediately. We want elections in which popular programs are selected first and suitable candidates are chosen after a public casting. We want legislative procedures that can be initiated by citizens and politicians, and where proposals are drawn up and put to the vote in a public talk show. We want federalism, in which there is a municipal, national, continental and global level, and citizens vote on which level should be responsible for what. We want citizens to be able to report grievances and politicians to be brought before public committees of inquiry and regulate the state of emergency before it happens. We want a safe and peaceful transition from the old to this new political system, which we will adapt to local conditions and continuously coordinate with the population. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our digitalization. We want a digital ministry that provides all ministries and citizens with IT so that they can network, manage, evaluate, inform and exchange information. We want a democratically controlled intranet that complements the internet when it comes to holding elections and votes or conducting contractual business. We want to protect digital data from unauthorized access, store it at the producer and defend it against cyber attacks. We want to create a digital image of the country in real time, in which citizens can simulate future projects. We want to use computer programs to facilitate negotiations and computer games to make government control interactive. We want directories for all ministries in which they offer citizens their services and help for self-help. Our media. We want state and private media to be separate and to have to disclose their political stance to their consumers. We want to involve, educate and inform citizens with democratically run state broadcasters and monitor and publicize the work of the government. We want a fourth power in the state in which controversial decisions are made publicly and moderators interactively control the decision-making process. We want government television that reports on politicians' meetings, elections and laws, involves citizens and organizes mobile talk shows at demonstrations. We want local and national television, whose content is determined by the citizens. We want news television that summarizes current affairs on a daily, weekly, monthly and annual basis. We want party television that works with ministries to film their work, programs and laws. We want surveillance television that visits government agencies unannounced or secretly and uncovers abuses. We want educational television that films knowledge, curricula and research results with schools and makes them accessible worldwide in a video encyclopedia. We want youth television that summarizes the content of state broadcasters in an understandable way and films topics relating to puberty and relationships. Our work. We want 4 economic forms in one country that stabilize and complement each other as a circular system. We want a labor directory in which applicants and companies can describe and find each other. Products can be sold and companies can be managed automatically. We want companies that price waste disposal costs into their products and are subsidized by the Cartel Office for Innovations and penalized for market manipulation. We want employee protection that promotes fun and partnerships at work, settles disputes and ensures healthy working conditions and fair pay. We want an administrative office that manages all government material and personnel, and a procurement office that provides all ministries with the goods they need. We want a company auditing agency that ensures that all companies adhere to their rules and that employees can contribute their ideas more easily. We want agriculture that promotes environmental protection thanks to permaculture and indoor farming, but costs less and produces more food. We want a financial sector that, thanks to state supervision and rating agencies, informs investors about risks and price trends. We want consumer protection that enables citizens to report defective products, have them technically and judicially inspected, and have standards labeled with quality seals. We want pensions that are spent in social villages, residential and care communities, cooperative retirement homes, or on cruise ships traveling the world. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our planned economy. We want social villages spread across the country in which a democratically planned economy prevails, which serve as barracks in the event of war and otherwise utilize military equipment for social purposes. We want social services that are self-financing thanks to a planned economy and produce goods for ministries in return. We want to enable nationals in social emergencies to collect and preserve their assets immediately and demand entry fees and social corporate governance for volunteers. We want residents who manage their own coexistence at general assemblies and in the social directory and specialize in industries in various social villages. We want the unemployed to be able to work for each other so that they can support themselves and set up businesses with like-minded people. We want all residents to provide the basic services of housing, food, hygiene, clothing, and state facilities in compulsory working hours. We want discarded goods to be recycled and fired workers to be retrained so that they can switch back to other economic forms. We want all residents to be able to work in the luxury sector during their free time in order to afford certain goods or realize business ideas. We want an amusement park, clubs, street festivals, and a place of worship for all religions, where all residents can spend their leisure time together. We want residential buildings in which people with the same living situation live in shared flats, as well as a canteen and laundry for all residents. We want living and working with an initial trial period and the chance to change if you don't like it. We want a social card that residents can use to gain access to premises, pay and record their working hours. We want a democratic and digital vote on consumption and working hours that protects residents from deprivation and maximizes leisure time. We only want financial management via the People's Bank with a currency in labor hours which prices the time for training and creation for a service. We want the inhabitants to farm in their gardens and rooms and deliver the food, medicines and drugs produced to the canteen, kitchen or pharmacy. We want to enable research and development through paid studies and commissions or for inventions by residents and focus on biotechnology. We want foreign trade that does not trade with foreign countries and only with the domestic market if imports and exports are balanced and supplies are secure. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our social market economy. We want companies of different sizes to support each other in solidarity in order to avoid delivery failures, insolvencies, undersupply or waste. We want democratic corporate governance that results in happier employees, no strikes and lower management costs. We want tax-financed compulsory insurance against illness, unemployment, supply shortages and economic downturns, as well as for parents, legal protection and pensions. We want cooperation between companies, state educational institutions and data centers to ensure stable economic power. We want tested quality standards for durable, environmentally, consumer and employee-friendly products and production methods. We want foreign trade that does not harm countries of origin and also guarantees domestic standards, wages and prices in foreign locations. We want a financial economy with a domestic currency and its own stock exchange, which strengthens both the purchasing power of the population and investments in companies. We want a real estate industry that provides for renovations, insurance, appraisals and low prices. We want agriculture in which small farmers organize themselves as cooperatives, offer subscriptions to end customers and receive helpers from the state at harvest time. Our barter economy. We want to use state forests and nature reserves as a habitat for people without jeopardizing the regrowth of the animals and plants there. We want 3 different comfort levels in which inhabitants live in a Stone Age, medieval or modern way and only use modern technology for light and heat. We want it to be possible to live without money and today's technology, without having to give up your assets. We want residents and businesses for commerce and trade who provide their services in return and document their word of honor via video. We want security forces, doctors and schools to be able to provide residents with mobile care and all services in the capital to be provided using modern methods. Our free market economy. We want an economy with few state regulations and low taxes that is open to global trade, bears the risks and costs itself and never charges them to the state or the environment. We want companies and individuals who can only purchase state services of their own choosing or do without them. We want to regulate labor, business, corporate and commercial law on a case-by-case basis in contracts and court rulings. We want international trade unions that can use industrial action and share purchases to strengthen the rights of workers and migrant workers in collective agreements. We want a financial economy with an international currency and barely regulated private stock exchanges and stock corporations. Our finances. We want a state budget that is debt-free and distributed by the population in an annual vote. We want a digitalized tax system that consists only of customs duties, value-added taxes and corporate taxes in order to control the foreign trade balance, consumption and profits. We want to finance debt reduction with taxes on inheritances, gifts and property and then abolish these taxes. We want a central bank with 4 issuing banks that ensure full employment and stable prices, because 4 currencies hedge each other against risks. We want a state-owned people's bank with interest-bearing accounts for individuals, generations and companies, as well as stock exchanges for domestic companies and ideas. We want machine fees, half of which are invested in automation and the other half in an unconditional basic income, which is increasing. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our innovation. We want to digitally facilitate the protection of inventions and their registration and enable the development of prototypes in innovation workshops. We want to show inventors, suitable researchers, property rights, sponsors, producers and customers, and support them through authorities, directories and television programs. We want to ask for and market suggestions for improvement from customers and employees, as well as successful company models. We want to create a mass of skilled labor that can invent and produce innovations at lightning speed by linking education, research and development. We want to implement innovations in large state-owned companies and replace taxpayers' money with monopoly profits until the patent protection expires. Our education. We want teachers and learners who democratically manage their educational institution themselves, become researchers and developers together, and produce or realize inventions in collaboration. We want teachers who gain 10 years of professional experience in their subject during their teaching career and are assessed by students in surveys. We want learners who choose suitable teaching methods and decide for themselves when they want to learn which knowledge from the curriculum. We want curricula that are drawn up publicly by the Ministers for Education, Labor and Innovation and representatives from business associations and educational institutions. We want centralized performance records and final examinations that are created by the examination office and corrected and assessed by teachers who do not know the candidates. We want examinations that are offered to learners as paid contract work for companies and research institutes. We want a directory of knowledge so that we can learn parts of the knowledge available worldwide at any time and complete any degrees as a digital distance learning program. We want daycare centers where children decide whether they are looked after in themed rooms or in fixed groups. We want special schools for people with behavioral disorders, learning difficulties and the gifted, as well as special facilities for emergency care around the clock every day. We want primary schools with structured learning in the morning and playful learning in the afternoon. We want comprehensive and higher education institutions with freely selectable timetables, courses, examination types and degrees, as well as the option to repeat examinations as often as you like. We want every citizen to perform national service, which consists of 3 months of basic training in the military and people protection service and 9 months of work in non-profit or state enterprises. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our health. We want to create a link between environmental protection and health in order to keep people and nature healthy with measurements, guidelines and measures. We want a health directory in which all diseases, treatment methods and cures are entered, retrieved and analyzed according to their chances of success. We want health insurance for general accidents and illnesses, for immortality and for addictive substances, as well as publicly negotiated fees for doctors. We want doctors who are authorized as conventional or alternative healers, following an examination and whose treatment success is continuously monitored. We want all drugs to be legal, to be subject to a purity law and to pay a health insurance premium to treat consumption-related complaints. We only want to authorize products that are harmless to health, biodegradable or harmless to dispose of, recyclable or reusable. We want to report environmental pollution in a directory, organize its removal and make polluters pay for it. We want to reverse climate change through innovations in agriculture and infrastructure that deliver the same performance at lower cost and without pollution. We want to replace finite raw materials in future with a circular economy that uses genetic engineering and naturally degradable nutrient solutions to grow all kinds of goods. Our infrastructure. We want to involve citizens democratically in urban planning and digitize land registers in a directory where properties can be simulated, found and traded. We want to build residential areas with a state construction team until everyone has their own home and complete state construction projects as quickly and cheaply as possible. We want recreational areas for people to exercise and relax, as well as bathing lakes with adjustable water levels to protect against flooding and droughts. We want state-owned utilities to take care of the supply of transport arteries, drinking water, electricity, data and gas, as well as the disposal of pollution, wastewater and rubbish. We want producers and disposal companies that make waste valuable in a circular economy or price in the disposal costs of products. We want to transport goods, data, electricity and water in underground networks and operate pumped storage power plants thanks to the natural gradient between the coast and the mountains. We want to shift long-distance passenger transport to the air and to maglev trains, and local transport to public transport, bicycles and carpools. We want to generate energy both centrally from the moon and the sun, as well as decentrally in existing buildings and store it in water, salt, zeolite, hydrogen and compressed air. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our security. We want security forces that can be called upon by citizens to help them in real and digital form and to document their deployments digitally in a directory. We want a democratically agreed emergency plan that is practiced in advance with the population in order to prevent the fear of an uncertain future in the event of a disaster. We want subsidized volunteer or full-time rescue services, fire brigades, water rescue services and technical relief organizations. We want a People's Protection Service consisting of soldiers, public servants and volunteers which can be appointed by citizens by quorum or by companies via payment. We want a police force that mostly carries non-lethal weapons, goes on patrol with the People's Protection Service, investigates criminal cases undercover, defends against cyber attacks, and carries out urban raids when crime is too high. We want weapons that are only produced domestically for domestic use, and that citizens are only allowed to buy and keep them in police stations. We want demonstrations that are protected by the People's Protection Service on the roads and accompanied by a mobile studio of the government television. We want to avoid terrorism by allowing foreign peoples to decide for themselves and giving minorities inland the opportunity to participate or confine themselves. We want customs to control the borders, enforce entry bans, deportations, customs duties, and import or export restrictions, and search for unpaid taxes. We want military equipment and personnel that contribute to the prosperity of the population in peacetime and are deployed democratically in the event of war. We want a defense army for the whole continent and, in the long term, only defense facilities against threats from space. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our justice. We want a democratic constitutional state in which citizens can evaluate, change or abolish laws or judgments, elect their judges directly, and be appointed as lay judges. We want public court hearings that take place in digital arbitration tribunals, municipal courts, 18 remit courts, the National Court, and the Constitutional Court. We want appropriate criminal laws that prevent good things from having to be banned just because there are bad people who behave unlawfully. We want to finance proceedings in criminal and constitutional law through value-added taxes, and in civil and state law after the judgment through the losers or insurance companies. We want sentences that are based on the value of the offense, not suspended but enforced as fines, community service or imprisonment. We want a prison system that compensates victims, accommodates offenders in mobile, digitalized individual cells, re-socializes them through work and therapy, and generates revenue for the state budget. Our foreign affairs. We want to standardize laws across the continent and worldwide, jointly administer authorities and ministries, and unite states as soon as the majority of people are prepared to do so. We want to bring together culturally similar populations in continental federal states until they are reconciled in a global federal state with a common constitution. We want to dynamically democratize the European Union through direct elections and the restructuring of the institutions into 18 ministries, councils and committees. We want to democratize international organizations and allow the people to vote on international law and intergovernmental agreements. We want to develop underdeveloped countries one by one through education and infrastructure, so that the people there can help themselves. We want to handle asylum application procedures through the embassies in the countries of origin and organize fast and favorable entry for approved asylum seekers. We want to reduce cross-border exploitation and crime build the United States of the world and then abolish the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World. Our integration. We want to democratically harmonize the pace of integration of natives and immigrants by means of local and statewide foreigner quotas or targets. We want cultural protection areas that give all minorities and extreme subcultures the opportunity to voluntarily segregate themselves and pass localized laws. We want to separate church and state and force religious communities to abide by domestic law and to preach or pray in the national language. We want to determine the size of the population by the birth rate of women and votes with men, and let foreign women immigrate or foreigners emigrate. We want to grant national citizenship to children of national parents and not allow any other nationalities apart from the national citizenship. We only want immigration out of love for the country and its people, so that no criminal offenses have been committed, savings are available, dependents can be provided for, and entry fees to the economy can be paid. We want to ban immigration until full employment is achieved, issue residence permits for a maximum of 10 years, and only allow permanent residence for naturalized citizens. We want naturalization through a test of the necessary language and school knowledge, as well as a 10-year discovery phase of friends, clubs, and voluntary positions. We want initial reception centers for asylum seekers in social villages and accommodation only for asylum seekers who speak the same language and come from the same region. We want asylum seekers to practice house building and self-sufficiency by building an asylum village modeled on a social village, running it and selling it to nationals after asylum. We want to employ and feed host families who take in asylum seekers seeking naturalization until the naturalization process is complete. We want foreigners to leave the country if they are in debt, or if the foreigner quota is exceeded or unemployment rises above 1%. We want the deportation of foreign offenders after they have served their sentence, and, if they are minors, the deportation of their entire family. Our family. We want laws for moral interaction with one another and for equality and democratization in all institutions that work with children. We want clear rules for finding a partner for love or sex that prevent sexual harassment and individual relationship bases that are notarized at the registry office. We don't want to make marriage dependent on gender or number, but only on caring for each other and for children together. We want state templates for marriage contracts and wills that are valid or can be amended by the parties concerned. We want children to be conceived by mutual consent and, if necessary, through artificial insemination, surrogate mothers, egg or sperm donation. We want a parenting license that prevents child abuse and offers parenting support in role plays and case studies. We want children's rights that describe successful developmental conditions and obligations that prevent harmful consumptions, legal capacity and liability. We want youth centers, children's homes and child benefit so that minors can lead a self-determined life and are offered useful activities. We want subsidized leisure activities through art, drama, music and sport, as well as playgrounds and clubs for all ages. We want legal suicide after psychological, legal and medical counseling in order to protect bystanders, doers and the bereaved. We want the burial of corpses in cemeteries and cremated remains in all places where no one is harmed. Follow this channel so you don't miss future videos. If you want to know more, read the non-fiction book Handover of Power or the novel Life in the New World.